one of the times that you try to stand up, instead of standing up with this weight still on you, you stand up and you see that the weight is just gone. Hello, sweet earthlings, and welcome back to Inviolable Be, where we heal the collective with compassion. Today I would like to talk about forgiveness. This is a very new experience for me, something that I've been, trying to experience for a long time. I've been working towards forgiving myself for things I've done or experienced, and forgiving others for things that they've done to hurt me. Now that I'm actually experiencing it, I'm beginning to recognize that there's no effort that you can put towards, directly towards forgiveness. It just happens as a product of understanding, and it is opening doors for me that I didn't even know existed. So I am here to talk about what it feels like, what it looks like, what it's not, and how you can learn to forgive as well. I want to first talk about what the experience of holding a grudge feels like. Being able to identify where we hold a grudge is the best place to start to be able to resolve that grudge. Whatever kinds of seeds were planted in your mind, whether you're holding a grudge against yourself because of something that you've done to hurt another person and you feel bad about it, and you're like, well, because I've done this thing to hurt this person, I deserve bad things too. That is a form of guilt, and that is a grudge that you might hold against yourself. Another grudge you may hold against yourself is, sort of a limiting belief about what you believe you deserve. Maybe this is because of something you experienced in your childhood or in your youth growing up, or because of something that someone else told you you should experience or deserve. Wherever they come from, they act in your life to hold you back from what it is that you tell yourself you want. So for me, I recognized that I was putting myself through the same patterns again. I was overwhelming myself, exhausting myself, distracting myself from being able to process what has happened just generally in the last few years and growing up, and I haven't given myself the time or the space to move through and work through a number of things that have affected me. Every time I would give myself the space to process, I would be like, okay, this is the time that, I do it right, I'm getting better, I'm on track, my habits are getting better, they're sticking this time. And there would always be this feeling like, but I know I'm gonna fall again. I know I'm gonna bring myself back to the bottom again. I don't know when, don't know how, I don't know why, but it's not gonna work out, even though I would be telling myself that this is what I wanted, that this is what I was doing, and that I was doing it well. So this feeling that you deserve these things to happen to you, or that you're just used to them, these are cycles and patterns that you feel the need to recreate because of that consistency. It is like a sort of weight. You just don't feel free from yourself or from the things that are holding you back. These grudges that you have held against yourself, as they begin to resolve, as they begin to slowly break down, you begin to feel lighter, like you have more opportunity to continue, and like you actually can keep these changes in the long term. And that is a process of self-forgiveness, is being able to open yourself to the possibility and to the opportunity that you deserve to be well in the long term, and that these cycles do not have to continue. And it kind of happens very suddenly. One of the times that you try to stand up, instead of standing up with this weight still on you, you stand up and you see that the weight is just gone. You know that this time when you try, the things that you tell yourself you want, they're available to you. And so this is just to say that every time you stand up for yourself, every time you try to end an old pattern, you are forgiving yourself a little bit more. And eventually it just becomes who you are. So that's a little bit about self-forgiveness. And now I want to talk about forgiving others. As I've been able to lift some of the grudge off myself, I've also been able to lift it off of others. There were these people who were outside my life now, but who still had such a big role in what I thought about on a day-to-day basis, how I approached my friendships and my relationships, and how I felt about myself. And that's why these two are so interrelated. You are the carrier of the rest of your world, and these grudges that you hold against others coincide with the grudges that you hold against yourself, so they tend to deconstruct around the same time, from my experience. And there's this saying, forgive but don't forget. I think a lot of us confuse that with actually just not forgiving someone. So in my past friendships and relationships, I would say I forgive you at the end of an argument, but I wouldn't forget what they did. I wouldn't forget how they made me feel. And if we got into another argument, I would probably bring that back up, or it would elicit the feelings that I had from the past argument that I didn't actually forgive them for. And that is not genuine forgiveness. The whole point of it is to let it go. And once you let it go, the mental tally is no longer there. You're not going to bring it back up in a future argument because it's not relevant to the present moment. Two things about this. One, it is completely normal to recall things that have hurt you from the past that someone has done.
And quick disclaimer, when I say the word forget and the phrases like forgive but don't forget or forgive and forget, I don't mean to literally remove from your memory. I just mean allowing your body, your soul, and your heart, I guess, to release it so that it's not relevant to your current life situation, your circumstances, or even your own behavior. I do believe that being able to recall negative events in your life and process and store them in a new way is important. And so I'm not saying to get rid of these memories. I just mean to allow your heart and your present situation to no longer carry the burden of these memories.
And two, I'm not saying to ignore patterns or cycles that people are using over and over again. Also, genuine apologies come with behavior change, so the two should be working well together. I do believe that forgive but don't forget can apply to people who you are no longer in communication with. Some are harder to forgive than others, but people who I've genuinely forgiven and who I genuinely have understanding for, if I saw them in public, I would not be angry with them. I would not forget why we aren't friends. I would remember that we are not compatible as people, but my forgiveness comes from a place of just understanding them as a human, understanding that we are just different people. I recognize the story that we had, the lessons we taught each other, the strengths that we gave each other, but I will not forget that we shouldn't be in each other's lives. It got a little tricky for a second trying to figure out the difference between having forgiven someone and missing them, but missing comes with a longing and an aching, and forgiveness comes with an excitement and I'm glad that you're well, and if I saw you doing well, I would be happy for you, despite our differences. And this is not necessarily something I know how to do. I think that giving myself the space to take care of me really helped with releasing some of the grudges I held against other people. Once I find out how to forgive, I will share, but as of now, I just wanted to share being able to recognize what forgiveness is, what it feels like, and what it's not, because I know it's very confusing. I think a lot of it came from being able to sit with myself and work through and process a lot of things that I hadn't processed before. There's a lot that I have to say about this. This is a huge topic for me right now. It's very resonant, and it is something that is changing my life completely. So there will definitely be more videos as I learn more about forgiveness and as I learn more about how to forgive and more about what it means and what it looks like. Yeah, but for now, that is all I have for you today. And if nothing else, please remember that I love you, you are cared for, and you are truly, genuinely forgiven.